One of the things I used to do to my sister when I was a kid, she was always tattling on me and getting me in trouble. However, when I tattled on her, it didn't work the same. My parents typically took her side no matter who was at fault. So, what I started doing was telling her that I told on her. And then what she would do is go up to my parents to explain herself, thus telling on herself. So in this, I was able to utilize her fear against her, and she'd get caught. So in this, the conspiracy theories, if you assume it's true, instead of letting fear control you, what they're anticipating it's not much different than what I was doing to my sister. What they're anticipating is your next move based on the fear that they instilled in you. And this is why, when it comes to conspiracy theories, true, not true, ride the line in the center. On the off chance, if it was true, what would you do? And so in this, you find your fine line where you don't have to fear either side. You don't have to fear if the conspiracy is true. You don't have to fear if it's not true. You have your path in the middle, the gray area. And so we are taught to stick to one side or the other when the gray area, the fine line in the middle, and your fine line is going to be in a different place than my fine line. That's called free will. What's happening is they're trying to take away our free will using your emotions. Walt Disney with romance, it's actually the opposite. What he did was he cast a spell upon all of the children that ever watched his movies. A magical little spell in our little brains. And now as grown-ups, we're wondering why our lives don't work out quite the way we thought they would. But that's why. Because the children that did not watch Walt Disney were unaffected. Why? It's the brainwashing. So our emotions were played with as children, basically. And so using romance, fear, any kind of emotion to control us, that's leading. And like a horse with a halter bridle on, they're leading you with that. Leading you by your emotions, leading you around by your fear. And so how you combat that is don't use your emotions for a thinking process. It's not like how you feel is important, but how you see logic is by looking past your feelings. And so if you are looking past your feelings into the realm of logic, then people can't lead you the same. So never let anybody control you by emotions or fear. Fear is an emotion. However, I did find that anger combats these things. There's a lot of times where I couldn't get anything done unless I got mad. I didn't have the lifting power, the energy. I was so sick from the HIV that I had to get mad to get things done. And so I noticed with a lot of other things, I had to get mad to make things happen. It's not what I want, but it's what was needed. Why? The adrenaline, the chemicals from the emotion of anger, they actually chase away your parasites. When you feel that incredible Hulk rage, but control it. You have to control the rage. So in this, pay attention to the conspiracy theories because they are meant to steer you in a direction that someone wants you to go. What do? The opposite. Because what they didn't anticipate was me doing the opposite of what I wanted or what they thought I would do. And so this is how I have combated a lot of things without weaponry. I'm a Viking warrior queen. I like my sword. I like all of them. But there are some things, like, you just can't go around stabbing things anymore. So there's some things where you have to use your mind like it's the sword and combat these things, because this is how the boomers got led in the wrong direction and started leading everybody else in the wrong direction too. They're being led by their fear. They're afraid of not having the same things that their neighbor has. They're afraid of being left behind in society. They're afraid of having to clean up after an animal. I have a lot of animals. They're afraid of not getting their needs met. They're afraid of a lot of things. They just mask that and try to give wise advice. And I'm here to tell you, don't follow that. Sometimes I get advice so that I know what not to do. If I get advice from a person and I recognize where that advice is coming from, I know, do the opposite. So this is where mirroring techniques are important. So the other thing is, people will deny you conversations, and then you get that energy pent up inside of you. They do the mic drop. They refuse to have a grown-up conversation. There's a lot of people that you're not allowed to get mad at them. You're not allowed to disagree with them. You're not allowed. Well, I'm here to tell you, you are allowed. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to get mad at people for their actions. You're allowed to feel your feelings. And so by taking back that control, someone doesn't want you to get mad because they don't feel their actions warrant that when you feel they do. Get mad. Feel that. Because what that does is it puts you in a mental prison and an energetic hell. And so the other thing that you can do, if you can't face off with them, you face off with a mirror. And you talk to them, or you talk to the mirror like you're talking to them, and release that energy, because they will get the message frequency-wise. I didn't realize I had the ability of reading people's minds. It's one of those things where they have a thought, and next thing I know, I'm saying something that I wouldn't normally say. Or, something comes out of my mouth. And I'm like, we're both like, why did I say that? But it's because your thoughts emit frequency. And someone like me that is like a dragonfly just collecting things off the air, I'm not blocking the energies. I'm translating them. And so I inadvertently read people's minds. And so recognize your own actions. Maybe you're doing the same thing, picking up on the frequency, and then you say something or do something that you wouldn't normally do. And so in this, I think the adrenaline from getting mad actually helped me with this part too, because I want my thoughts to be my own. I want my feelings to be my own. I don't want to be sitting here thinking someone else's thoughts, feeling someone else's feelings, because then I'm no longer able to be me. And so this is where empaths, you're taking that woo-woo crap too seriously. What it is your frequency receptor is open. As well as you have parasites. And your parasites are afraid. Whoever wrote Revelations, they had parasites, and the parasites were afraid. King James, he had parasites, and his parasites were afraid. The Antichrist, it's not anything that, it's not what they said it is. It's simply just not Jesus. They wanted you to fear it so you would reject it. And this is how conspiracy theories work. They want you to fear things so you reject the help or reject good things when it comes to you. And so learn to logic this yourself instead of doing what the crowd is doing, because you will inadvertently chase away the things that you actually do want in your actions. I can't tell you, there were a lot of guys that were interested in me during a period of time in which I thought I needed a dude in my life. And what they did was the exact opposite of what would have been needed for that to happen. They imagined me up in the mountains where I'm at, all by myself, struggling. Romanticized me struggling. Well, they went off with other women, chasing their desires. Banana magic. And I don't fall for banana magic. It's not my thing. I'm a thinker. I don't think down there. No thought process down there. And so what I saw was that they would hold a relationship with me in their head, not really talking to me, not communicating. But that frequency put me in that struggle that they imagined me in. So you're going to want to get away from people like that. Stop talking to them, because their imagination is dooming you. And if too many people are thinking that, then that struggle is exactly what you got to do, the struggle they imagine you doing. And so I'm still a little upset about it. Why did they think I wanted to live that way? And why are they romanticizing about me struggling? That's offensive. Like, they should have been imagining themselves helping me or doing things with me, having a conversation. How about that? I'm not, like, it's ridiculous that people live stuck in their heads, never seeing the light of day. Pull your head out of the sand. And in this, you miss good opportunities. You miss the person that might have been good for you. You miss the path that you probably should be on, or would probably prefer to be on. But this is how the current societal construct is dooming people, because you're acting normal, you're doing what everybody else is doing what you normally do, and it's dooming you. You have to do something new. You're doing the same thing, expecting a different result, instead of doing something new. I was called crazy for doing something new. What's crazy is rinse and repeat and expecting a new picture. Pete and repeat were on a boat. Pete fell off. Who was left? Repeat. So stop repeating all of your old habits. You can't do that if you never catch yourself in that habit and choose to do the opposite or something different. So these people, these guys were living out what they imagined doing with me, like road trip, running away, whatever. They went and found somebody else to go do that with, because they couldn't communicate with me for whatever reason. Their communication center is blocked. And so if you are sad because you're alone and you think you're missing out on life, recognize your choices are doing this to you. Your choices are going to keep doing this to you unless you make different choices. Recognize these patterns in yourself. It drives me it's maddening. It makes me angry that people cannot see this in themselves. So what happens then is you end up with a streamline of wrong relationships, a streamline of bad experiences, and then a streamline of bad feelings from it. And then the person, again, that you coulda, shoulda, woulda been with doesn't like being around that. The feelings coming off of you. And so learn to go and deal with that. Too many times people put those feelings up on a shelf because that's what we are taught to do. Put that on a shelf and don't open that. Why not? Why? Like, why not open that? What? Because feelings are illegal? Having feelings is a bad thing? That's wrong. That's someone else controlling your feelings, making you put these things on a shelf. Bring these things down. Your past experiences, the things that you have not felt yet. Bring it down off the shelf. Take your time alone and go feel that. Because what you're doing is you're inadvertently packing a backpack full of these bad emotions, bad experiences, never emotionally processing it. And then you're walking around with a bag of bad emotions. And so by offloading and feeling it, you get the toxins, the poisons out of your system. You get it out of your cellular structure so that your body can start to do different things, because these are the things that prevent us from healing. Your wounds, your insides, these are the things that prevent us from healing from our everyday life, which how it plays out is you have so many bags of things that you haven't dealt with that the slightest thing that happens causes a fracture in your fault line. And so humans have the same things that the planet does. Like, we have ley lines on our body. We have fault lines. We have our own center of gravity. And that's an energetic one. So where people are at right now, like, women and men are at an impasse. And that is the way it should be. Why? Because the people that you have been attracted to are the exact people you should be running from. The person you're most likely married to is most likely the enemy, so to speak, in that they're your complete opposite in an incompatible way. You're taught to overlook things, dismiss things. This is the way it is. This is what men do. This is what women do. No. This is what society has programmed everybody to do. It does not have to be that way. So if we start with the small things and recognize how the pattern plays out throughout our entire life, throughout our entire day, throughout our entire system of how we function, we can't undo anything if we refuse to recognize the problem. If your car has no gas or has a cracked engine block, you can ignore the problem all you want, but you're gonna get stopped because there's as far as you can go. And that's where society has landed itself, as far as they can go in the wrong direction. And now things have to go the other way. So in order for that to happen, people have to start recognizing all of these symptoms and start planning how they're going to do things differently. Don't let the conspiracies control you. Don't let the society norm, neurotypical, that's the illness on this planet. Neurodivergence, just do you. Like, forget about their feelings because they obviously don't care about yours. Rule of thumb, if somebody does not give 2 shits about your feelings, then do not give 3 shits about theirs. Stop caring too much. It doesn't mean be a complete asshole like they are or whatever the case may be, but it does mean stop caring that much. It does not mean don't care. There's too many people that are applying this in the wrong parts of their lives. They're applying it in the wrong situations, and it's dooming them, and they're ending up homeless. That's not what don't care is supposed to mean. You care enough to not care. How about that? A double conundrum. So, recognize these patterns in society because we have been sent in the complete wrong direction. Thank you, Walt Disney. I love the cartoons, but we might have to cancel them. So in this, like, our whole way of society was shaped around these these movies that we saw as kids. And these movies were designed to lead us in the complete wrong direction of things. Why? Because Walt Disney hated children and probably hated women too. King James in the Bible, he hated women. So some of the things in the Bible are backwards. They're phrased backwards, and you have to reverse that. There's the conspiracy theories. Some of them, they're telling you exactly what is not going to happen. Why? Because if you get afraid and you start to fumble with that thought and start acting on that, then you actually bring these things to pass instead of letting it pass. So do not, unless a conspiracy, unless if it comes true, unless it's going to affect you, don't act on it. Recognize, have a mental plan so that if something goes sideways, you know what direction you're going to go. But in your everyday life, do you really need to act on it? Probably not. The whole stocking up on foods. Do you realize that by the time you get to eat that, it's going to taste like cardboard? Why? Because all that food is fake. It's not even real food. All of the stuff that they're having people stock up on. So people that have this stuff stocked up in their doomsday bunker, they're going to starve to death because it's not fresh. It's not real food. It's overprocessed fake food. And so when there's no gardens, when there's nothing, not that this is even going to happen, like they're going to be hiding down in their doomsday bunker while the rest of us are getting a suntan and playing, which is fine. More room for the rest of us. But stop being one of them. Stop. You do need to have things on hand, but you do not need to be stocked up to the gills on dry things, on all this stuff that isn't even real food. They get you to panic and make poor mentality decisions. Whereas if you have confidence that, hey, I've come through a lot of stuff, I'm most likely going to get through that too, then like you have to tell this to yourself. You have to speak it. Tell it to your cells. Tell it to your body. Tell it to the room around you, because the frequency of it absorbs into your surroundings. And this is where what we tell ourselves is absolutely important. If you keep saying, I'm so stupid, I'm this, I'm that, what you're actually doing is repeating things that you were told as a child. And so when you recognize this, stop beating yourself up like other people did. That was their manipulation tactic for something they were doing that they didn't want to be noticed, because that's what narcissists do. They get you believing that you're the problem so that they never have to fix the problem in their own life. you're holding all that energy for them. Why do they have to be sorry when you're sorry enough for both of you? So in this, stop holding that for somebody else. Start recognizing these things. And this is where the adult you gets to take that wounded child version that someone called stupid and be like, look, these are the areas that I see you're actually very brilliant. You actually have great thoughts. And then go with that. Go with that conversation instead of continuing the cycle of what other people have done to you. In this, like, our abusers get to claim that they didn't abuse us because what they did was they trained us to abuse ourselves. And this is why you have people in society that have problems with wanting to harm themselves, the checking out idealizations, and a lot of unhealthy mental patterns. But what that does, that keeps you locked in your mind instead of living life. And so once we move past that, you're going to find all sorts of ways in which you do this. And so the entirety of your life is going to get shaken up. And you're going to feel the need to do things completely different. And you have to do that no matter who's calling you crazy, no matter who's falling out of the boat. I rock the boat on purpose because the people that are not supposed to be in the boat will fall out. Sometimes I fall out too, but it's my boat. I can get back in. And then at which point, you decide who's not getting back in the boat. Burning bridges. I torch them. Why? Because if people want to rebuild that relationship with me, they have to rebuild the bridge. I'm not going to do it. If you find yourself starting to rebuild that bridge, recognize that they're the ones that need to do the work. So you come do the inner work. And then they have no choice. If they want to meet you in the middle, they have to help build the bridge. Too many times we burn the bridge and then we're like, oh, did I make a mistake? And then we start building the bridge back to that person when that person was never actually supposed to be in our life to begin with. Torch the bridge and walk away. They have to do the work in order to meet you on the other side. This is all part of a spiritual rebirthing process, mental rebirthing process, which comes into basically a physical rebirthing process. You have no idea how much your cells have held onto, like a molecular level. Your body is holding on to all of this stuff. So your body is not even shaped the way it's meant to be because it's been generation of all these problems. Rinsing and repeating every generation. However, like, typically it skips, it's an alternating generation. Like, I go through the same things that my grandmothers went through. My daughter will go through the same things that her grandmother went through. It's on a rotating cycle so that nobody gets caught playing this game on society, huh? Nice try. Psychologists are in on this. They have everybody trained to think one thing when it's actually another. The narcissist, they're just a baby. Like, that's their masking ability. On the inside, it's the opposite. They're just a baby on an emotional IQ level. They have 0 emotional IQ. Will they ever grow one? Who knows? We're in new times. New things are happening. One can only hope. So recognize this in yourself so that you don't become one of them. Because what has happened is there's a lot of us that have been brainwashed and brain trained into acting like narcissists and covert narcissists. The worst is the covert because they don't even realize they're doing it. People that, okay, that's low self-esteem. Ego is the narcissist. Low self-esteem is the covert narcissist. You want somewhere in the middle. You want a healthy sense of self so that You don't have to be covert, and you don't have to be a full-blown narcissist to get by in life. And so this is what has worked in society, is a low emotional IQ. And there's some of us that have raised our IQ and we're not having it. Simply put, tolerance is what they use to pave the road to hell with. So tolerance is not, it's not even biblical. Temperance, controlling your temper, it doesn't mean not having one. There's the fine line in the middle. Like, you don't want to be all temper. You don't want to be all not temper. You want the fine line in the middle. Otherwise, your blade becomes dull. So the other thing, they have us in non-thinking patterns. Clear your mind to meditate. That's a line of crap. If you're clearing your mind for a blank screen, you're doing it wrong. Meditating is a form of manifesting. You have to dream, daydream. Like, you have been shamed for these things because people thought it was wrong. They felt they were lazy. Well, that was probably their parasites. Because when you're going the right direction, your parasites will tell you, oh, that's stupid. Huh. So do people that are parasites. So meditation is actually taking the time to imagine your manifestations playing out. Because what if you should not manifest that? What if you didn't play that out in your mind and that's actually not what you should be wanting? And if you're not honest with yourself, then what happens is things don't play out quite the way you imagined. Things never play out quite the way we imagined. But that's because we want to look at things with optimism. And we should be looking at things with optimism. What is not set up for optimism is the world around us, the societal construct. Why? Because the elites want to keep everybody else in a broken place. They want to keep everybody locked in their minds, being a slave to society construct. Do something different. Find a job that requires you to be creative instead of passing that to AI. My AI gives me ideas, and then I go and execute that in the physical. And so in this, people have become completely lazy. When you have AI doing everything for you instead of giving you ideas on things that you can do, there's a problem. Kids are now having AI do their homework. Like, it's a problem. The laziness, that is absolutely parasites. And what's going to happen is they're going to suck you dry and leave you a corpse. I've seen it happen. People are dropping like flies. Have you seen? People are dropping like flies. All of a sudden, someone dies at 43. Huh. Who knew that was coming? They looked pretty well. That's what parasites do. So all of us were born with parasites. They're dropping parasites on us. They're putting it in our food. They're now feeding people 3D printed food, meat, 3D printed meat. Who knew that was a possibility? If you're not studying what they're doing with science, then you're dooming yourself. They're also serving up human DNA looking like beef. Huh. What do you know? Who's doing this? Someone controlled by parasites. Why? Because parasites like to win the war. Who doesn't care about the war? The person that isn't parasitic. The person that actually gets no benefit from war. And so we're going to have to care enough to stop the war, in a sense. So spice yourself. Cloves, cinnamon, allspice. You're going to need to get some things into your diet because the parasites inside of you are attracting the parasites in other people. Every man I thought I was in love with is my parasites. And now that I've offloaded them, I'm quite disgusted. Like, I wouldn't have picked any of those people. My parasites obviously picked those people because the me without them is not attracted to that. It's attracted to the idea that was playing out in my head. And so, why would I submit that person, like, that idea? Maybe that person isn't, like, cut out to fit into that idea. And so, if you find that you're attracted to the idea of being married or the idea of this or that, then recognize that could be your parasites, as well as it's time to unpack that, because when you bring someone else in on it, you alter their life course as well as you alter your own. It becomes a massive detour that you didn't have to take. So sit down and mentally process these things, because that's what's wrong with society. That's what meditation is for. It's not for the blank slate. It's not for the blank screen. Meditation is so that you can envision things. And by leading people the wrong direction, gosh, what a mess. Who did that? It was only half of the information. You clear your mind and then boom, bring up the picture of your manifestations, and you envision it playing out. If it's wrong, then you need to figure out at that time what you need to do differently to prevent that from happening, to go the other direction, because perhaps you're meant to go a complete different way. And what you think you want, you don't actually want, because once you get there, it's like in a movie, like the end of the movie comes and you don't know what to do next because the movie didn't show this part, right? Okay, you're chasing the idea of something. You're not actually in it for the right reasons. So, society should be getting interesting because the spell has worn off. It's wearing off. People are coming out of a fog. What I saw was that absolutely everybody was under some sort of a spell, thinking that that shit really worked. That the shit that was happening on the planet is the shit that should be happening, and it's not. It's absolutely not. So, all it takes is a few people that are conduits and nodes and connected to the grid to change things. We are strategically placed across the planet to counterbalance each other, so that and hive mentality, we're connected so that we can try to keep things in balance. And these are the unseen things that if people knew, everybody gets all afraid. It's not witchcraft. It's quantum physics. Obviously, King James would have been afraid of the quantum physics because of the parasites he picked up fudge packing little boys. It's historical. He did not like women. He was into dudes. And so you pick up parasites out of that orifice. And so his parasites are afraid of Armageddon. His parasites are afraid of this and that. They have Christians afraid of things that are absolutely never going to happen. The Antichrist, it's just simply not Jesus, which means it could be a woman, could be me. We don't know. The second coming of Christ, okay, what Christians don't understand is you were supposed to take a turn on the cross, astral projection, going inside of yourself, sorting all of this information that I've just listed, and much more, until and abstaining from things. It doesn't mean it's a permanent thing, but for a period of time, you abstain from things. You cut things out of your life to see what is what. It's a vision quest. And so what happens is all of a sudden there's a release of the spinal fluid that should have been flowing through us to begin with. But we've been fed dead food. Our food is supposed to be alive. Our cells are alive. We need alive food. Plants and vegetation. Well, plants are vegetation. But plants and fish. Anyways, so what happens is you have basically an out-of-body experience where you are relating to Jesus. You take time to relate to God. That is not a God mentality. That's not a God complex. You take time to relate to God so that you can feel his feelings. You take time to relate to Mother Nature so that you can feel her feelings. You take time to relate to Jesus so you can feel his feelings. And what happened for me was essentially I had an out-of-body experience where I was in Jesus' body, mentally processing what he was going through. He was on the cross for a period of time. He had all the time he needed to mentally process that. Not to mention the three wise men. There were the three magi. They explained to him what was going to happen, and from the age of 13 to 33, they prepared him for that journey. They prepared him for the visions that they saw happening to him, and he had to believe them in order to be prepared. And so the out-of-body experience, essentially, Jesus and I trade places. So what happens to the body once Jesus, like, boom, is existing? Like, once you connect on that level, it's called a Jacob's ladder. It's an actual psychological approach to healing oneself. And so in this, you climb the energetic ladder to God and Jesus, and you take Jesus' place. And so in this, like, why wouldn't you do that? He sacrificed his life for you, but you won't sacrifice 5 minutes to go climb up on the cross for him in an out-of-body experience. If you don't know how to astral project, how are you getting to heaven? People think, oh, I'm going to ascend. I'm going to get whooshed up into heaven. No, you're not. If you don't know how to astral project, you're not projecting anywhere. You're not going anywhere. You're going in the ground. You're going to get born again and have to do it all over again. I decided, no, I don't want to do it again. And as for the whole spiritual warfare, no, I'm not going to sit here in battle mode all the time doing the whole spiritual warfare. I do kind of like it, though. But that could be my parasites. I'm still sorting that. But in this, like, we get caught up in someone else's war all the time. I told God, like, why don't you deal with the devil yourself? Why am I fighting your war for you? How about you come down here and do the work? There's a price to pay for getting smart-mouthed with God. Because lessons are what it's all about. But don't think he's not the angry, controlling bastard that Christianity leads you to believe. He actually has a sense of humor. So I would ask questions or make comments. I've been in constant communication with God since at least the age of 10. I accepted that soul contract on a certain level. But whoever the Vatican, like whoever other people are praying to, I created a personal relationship with this being. And so I saw that, like, when I got smart or when I had a question, the universe sent back a response. And the same kind of humor I had in parenting my kids is the same kind of humor I received. So who's to say it's not me on the other side of things? We don't know until we get there. So there's a lot of things that I made choices on doing things a certain way on the off chance that it's true. So that whether it's true or not, I'm positioned where I need to be. I'm doing what I need to be doing. I'm on the path that I would need to be on, whether it happens or not. And so the whole pack a just in case bag, just in case you don't make it back home, just in case you decide to go do something. I used to pack a towel, swimwear. I would pack things with me when I left, just in case something, a better idea came along than just coming back home. And so these are the things that we need to be doing in other areas of our lives, just in case. So if people were doing that, they would not be caught unawares. And this is where I don't understand Christians. Like, you were already warned that you would be caught unawares because you didn't do things just in case it happened in your lifetime. Where are you at? You're cozy in a church pew, not out actually fighting that spiritual battle. The spiritual battle, it starts in yourself. And if you're living in denial of the things that you do, if you, like most people that go to church, they use that as an excuse. Well, I'm a Christian. Okay, then why are you acting that way? This whole, like, Trump and Jesus, like, when he has the Jacob's Ladder event, then I'll believe it. Until then, it's just words. It's a show. Thanks for your showmanship, sir. Next. Because I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it at all. You cannot cop a feel on children or do whatever else he's done and then proclaim that, oh, I'm suddenly a Christian. Were you a Christian when you treated other people badly? Because I've seen people who are absolutely not Christian treat people right. Why does Christianity give you a hall pass for treating people wrong? That's your prison mentality, which is exactly why you're in church. The prison mentality. You're in a mental prison. And so I'm here to try to jailbreak everybody. Maybe this talk did some good and has broken people out of their cycles and their minds. Drop a comment if it has. Leave something that you're okay with sharing. Also, don't overshare because other people are on here. I've done some overshares myself, but if you do, it's okay. No harm, no foul. The other thing is like and subscribe. I'm going to be doing live videos soon. I'm gearing up. I'm trying to get myself in order. Get your house in order means get your body in order. And so, I did that and then I realized like, no, my house actually needs an order too. So get your house in order too. House, that's also your mind, your mental mansion. All the crap that you're carrying around in there is clogging up your mental mansion and you're not able to go and enjoy it. Which is what meditation is going and enjoying your mental mansion. You need to build rooms up there. You need to start with a hallway. Make your entrance. Mentally, imagine this. Create your entrance. You go into the lobby. You look around, there's a fireplace, couple of chairs, big Persian rug in the center of the floor. And then you look to the left, there's an elevator and a set of stairs. Pick one. Take it to the second level. What you choose actually says something about you. The elevator says you want to take the easy way up. The stairs say you're willing to take the hard way. And so you get to the second level and you're at a hallway, a very plain hallway with doors. Your subconscious will decorate this as time goes by. It does not happen in the first episode. So you pick a door, you go in, and you turn a light on because the room is going to be dark. This place has not been lit up this way before. And when you turn the light on, you're going to see a mess everywhere of things, memories, things from your life, just things piled everywhere. And my first time I got intimidated, I just turned the light on. I'm like, I'm just going to turn the light on in every room and then deal with this later. And so you can do that, but I suggest addressing it one room at a time. And so you can actually mentally start organizing the thoughts in that room, because all the objects your mind is imagining are actually thoughts. And so you imagine organizing these things. And when you're satisfied with what you've done in that room, you can go to all of the other rooms. And then when you leave a note for your subconscious. Be like, I love you, friend. Signed me. And then your subconscious will start leaving you notes. Mine said, get out of the house more. Left a note, leave home. I thought, well, do I run away? Do I pack a bag? Am I moving? What's happening? And this is where we start to connect with our subconscious. We've been separated. As a child, when you are stuck in a school desk and taught what to think, you're separated from your imagination and your subconscious. And so these exercises that I will be giving people will bring you to your subconscious, and you will see things play out in the 3D. It's actually very magical, because what happens is, okay, we have mentally turned on a light, we have started organizing, and now we feel a little overwhelmed. So we're going to just shut the door and leave. Go back to the 3D world where we feel we're in control. And so what happens is you start organizing your 3D world a little differently. But while you're gone, your subconscious is organizing the subconscious world in your mind. And so in doing this, it starts to play out in your 3D, starts to rearrange you on a cellular level. So practice this every night before bed. This is what takes you into dream space. I created what's called dream space. This is where I go, because why? None of my problems exist in dream space. They exist in the 3D. So dream space, I can actually be functioning in 3D and be in dream space at the same time. 2 places at once. Who said it couldn't be done? And then there will be things that really don't require much mental activity. It's just physical work. And so I'll mentally go up and sort things. Go up and clean a room in my mental mansion. And so in doing this, things start to play out in our 3D. And we start to see more. We start to do more. And we start to imagine a better existence. And in imagining a better existence, we bring about a better existence. We were separated from our imagination. Why? Because our imaginations actually run the planet. What people don't realize is when everybody's imagination stops working, the solar system stops working. The sun will stop shining. The planet will stop turning. When our imaginations stop, our souls stop. Everything they have done has been to sever us from our soul and keep us alive but miserable. Until you are connecting with your soul, like you don't even have to live your destiny. Connecting with your soul is where the magic begins. And that's why they don't want you to believe in these things. They don't want you to believe in magical abilities. They want you to be afraid of these things as though it's evil when it's not. You are either evil when you put out your magic, or you're not. And so what I saw was narcissism. If you have to persuade anybody to do anything, then you're using magic. Presidents to get votes, They're using magic, only like they're not even trying that hard. Their little magic show isn't actually that magical. It's a bunch of steamed up lies. And then they openly admit, well, you know, politicians lie all the time. Okay, then, like, why are we still playing the politician game? Let's play a new one. Chutes and Ladders. Let's kick this one out. Game of Life. We don't have to play their game. We actually don't. Somebody decided we're going to play politics. Somebody decided we're going to play kings and queens and be royals. Sounds like somebody's trying to steal everybody else's imagination and run the game. Game of Life. It is called the Matrix. Your web of existence, your energy is that web of existence. When you cease to exist, you go out into the energy field. Why? Because we're all energy. God is energy. Source. Like, God has many names. That's why he said, I am. I am the I am. And so in this, we are too. People are shaming other people for having many names. Okay, what? I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter. What, everybody's supposed to call me one thing? No, I wouldn't want that. To some people, okay, the Blackfoot tribe, I'm Napiaki. They meant it as derogatory, but I'm okay with it. Turns out it's actually true. I'm a trickster in a white vessel. And if I use it as a bad energy, then yeah, it's bad. But if I use it as a good energy, then it's good. And so this is where people need to quit deciding if the label is good or bad. Is the energy that person brings good or bad? This is where you need to, like, you're at crossroads, right or left. You can't go both directions. Unless you're just going to keep going. Riding the fence, you're going to get hung up somewhere. That's what riding the fence does. So I hope this helps people. Again, like, subscribe, and comment how this video helped you. If you feel so inclined. Have a great day, people.